For landlords, by landlords. The Rent Perfect Podcast with David Pickron.
Scotty, I just got back from a National RIA cruise. It's nice to be behind the microphone. How are you doing?
Good. You got your land legs back yet, or are you still sea legging it?
Man, I will tell you that there is no better cruise than this crowd at National RIA. I will tell you that, but it's still 7 days on a boat.
Yeah.
And the seas are a little rocking. And as the week went by, I noticed people have this little dot behind their ear, you know. So they started getting a little woozy.
Well, and I know that 7 days felt like a prison ship.
No cell phone.
Right.
I think I paid $300 or $400 for the Wi-Fi on board. I think they let's get you on board and then let's really fleece you.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But hey, there are no better people than those at National RIA and in the local RIAs, around this country. And so if you're listening to this and you don't know who your National RIA or who your RIA is, look them up. Look up ASRIA. Look up, mid-year RIA. Or look up on Mid-America. Mid-year. And Mid-year is one of the conferences RIA puts on. Hello.
We get
Maybe
you.
my sea legs aren't back yet.
Yeah, I think you might still be a little hungover from that cruise.
But look up the RIA next to you, that's in your area, because these are really, really good people. And if you want to get really involved, you can go on these cruises with us. And, you just meet people. For example, I was talking about, I'm Rent Perfect, but I'm talking about midterm and short-term rentals because that's kind of what I do on the side. And I have this really neat guy from New Orleans. He comes up and says, David, I'm not getting much hits on mine. Will you look at my ad for me, And so I looked at his ad. I spent about 30 minutes with him, and I gave him 3 or 4 different things that I think he needs to change. And he just texted me right before this podcast. He's like, Dave, I got 3 bookings.
Oh, I love it.
Since I got home.
I love it.
It might be coincidental. I like to think that there are experts, at these conventions that can kind of help you. So get involved with your RIA, but that's not what we're here today talking about. There seems to be a conflict in our lives, okay? And here's the conflict. We want things super easy, right? We want crystal clear, let's just be super easy. But super easy sometimes causes the bad people to defraud you. So then we put in these security measures that turn super easy into a little harder, right?
Yep.
And so I had a lady come up to me, and say, hey, I can't use your program because you make me re-authenticate every 6 months. And I just don't want to re-authenticate every 6 months because I have a freeze on my credit, which you should have. Yeah. And that freeze, it's just hard for me to unthaw it and then go authenticate with you and then put it back on. And so I use another company. And I said, hey, that's great. Whatever works for you, works for you. But keep in mind some of the things that are set up and they seem like a pain are really just protecting you, right? Yeah. Because you don't know what is going on out there. There is so much financial fraud out there. It is crazy. Everything is digital now, right?
Right, yeah.
And this digital, banking, wires, ACH, there is so much fraud here. So please just know that when you run into these security things that seem like a pain, they're there for a reason.
Yeah, don't avoid them because honestly, the thawing and refreezing process is what?
30 seconds, and I showed it to her, and she was like, that's all it is, but she thought it was more pain in her mind.
We're not thawing out a Thanksgiving turkey over 3 days. It was like a 30-second deal.
But so this made me think of all the fraud that is going around us, and as investors, what can we do to make sure that we're covered, in our transactions and in our daily lives? And I know a phenomenal story that your neighbor just went through.
Yep.
We'll save names so we don't get anybody embarrassed.
Yeah.
But tell me about this awesome story.
Yeah.
Here. Maybe not awesome at the end.
Not for anybody. It's an awesome story, just not for the participants.
Oh
right?
my gosh.
So my neighbor was expressing this story. He's an attorney, and he was actually, it's a friend of his was going through this situation where she had been contacted by the FBI.
Okay.
To help track down and help work on some financial fraud issues where there was some funny business with wire transfers and things like that, and so they'd engaged her, and literally over like an 18-month period, she had been doing these things to help the FBI, setting up and creating relationships, going through this whole thing where unbeknownst to her, this was like a total scam, right? She was working with an illegal
But
group.
she thinks she's doing her civil duty.
Right, yeah.
She thinks that.
Yeah, the FBI's approached me, and I'm just being a good citizen.
Right, and I'm going to get these scammers.
Right, yeah.
I'm doing some good for society.
Yeah, so at the end of this 18 months, she gets contacted by her contact at the FBI who says, hey, we're on the very last step of catching these guys, and we appreciate you've been such a help so far. But we're on the very last step, and the last thing we need you to do is we need you to transfer $700,000 of your personal wealth to this account number. And she's like, all the bells are going off in my head, right? Wait, what?
My money.
My money.
My
you're not
money.
going to seed me that money. No,
Right,
no. It
right.
has because they can track all of your accounts, and they could see if we put money into your account, they would see that. So we need you to transfer $700,000 of your personal wealth to this account. She does it.
With the promise, though, right?
With the your money will be back in a couple of days. So a couple of days go by. Wow, nobody's called from the FBI to say, hey, we got your refund check. It'll be back, put back. So she reaches out to the FBI, the actual FBI, and they unfortunately tell her, we have no idea who you are. We have no idea of this operation, and you have scammed and you've lost over $700,000 of your personal wealth.
Right.
All because she trusted somebody.
But the trust wasn't like one phone call. Hey, this
No.
FBI sent $700,000. I mean,
This was a well-documented, planned out.
Guys are planning and working this, and the stuff they're getting off the dark web, and the information they have on us, and the phishing of phone numbers and email addresses. They had her convinced. Not one phone call, not two phone, not three phone. 18-month period, she was dealing with someone from our federal government. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they were saying, "Hey, don't mention some of this stuff to people. We need to keep this on the wraps, right?
Very undercover, very deep cover.
So $700,000 in a wire.
And guess what? The FBI, they don't refund money that they never got. So you're just out. It's a devastating financial hit, but it's a scary story.
Yeah. I will just tell you, number one, wires are getting hit left and right. You're getting emails, you're getting phone calls. And wires, the reason they're being used is because you can't pull them back.
Right.
Once you push that button, that money is gone. Okay? That is scary.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So I have some things I want to talk to you about and get your insight on.
Sure.
But 5 things I think we can use to help us and investors. The number one thing I will tell you right now, and it's amazing to me how many people I talk to about this that don't do this. Put a freeze on your credit. Yeah, is it a pain to unthaw? It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Listen, it takes 2 seconds to go to Experian unthaw it for a day. Let a car dealership hit it, or let somebody who needs to just check your credit real quick, and then you don't even have to go back and freeze it again. The thaw is just thaw it, and it'll automatically freeze again.
Right.
So it takes a little bit of time. When they can't access your credit file, okay, then a lot of institutions that are providing credit will say, well, we can't even provide credit unless we can access this. This is ground zero, stops a lot of people from using your identity or getting credit in your name. If you listen to anything in this podcast right now, in fact, if you need to stop this podcast, turn it off, go to Experian.com and freeze your credit. I promise you this will save you some heartache in the future. It is only getting worse.
Right. Hey, we'll just throw the link into the show notes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
If you're on YouTube and you can see the show notes, great. If you're hearing us on your car and you're driving, Experian.com. It just needs to get done no matter how you get there. Okay? I want to reiterate this. As a private investigator, I am asked all the time, how can I prevent fraud? My number one, I'm just saying this again, my number one is freeze your credit. Okay? Mine is frozen, has been frozen for a long time. My mother's is frozen. My wife is frozen. My kids are frozen. Freeze it. No one needs to look at your credit unless you give them permission to do that. Okay? All right. Scott, do you ever just send your Social Security number on emails?
Never. Nope.
You
I
ever-
don't even send the last 4 unless it's like dire. Because I know with the last 4, I can get the first 5 pretty easily.
I have so many workers who are applying with CrimShield or tenants who are applying at Rent Perfect. Hey, will you help me with my file? My Social Security number is right over emails,
Yeah.
right?
The full social in the
The
email.
full social.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of the investors know, listen, I really protect my social. But think about bank checks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never, even as a kid, I didn't understand this. I'm like, yeah.
You take a piece of paper,
Right.
it has your routing number on
Yep.
it, it has your account number on it, and you're handing it to people.
Yeah.
In the world of checks and going to the banks and signatures, that might have all worked. But now
Right.
with wires, ACH transfers, that Social Security number you wouldn't send over an email or give anybody who called you on the phone. Treat your bank account just like that now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Those numbers are the keys to the kingdom. And once you give them out, good luck, right?
Those numbers are now your new Social Security number.
Yeah.
Okay? Get rid of paper checks. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. I'm not going to tell you to go to all wire because there's issue that way too.
Yeah.
But find a way. I like to use, and this is number 3, credit cards.
Yep.
Okay?
You don't-
I get my points. That's great and fantastic
Yeah.
and all. But the bottom line is there are protections with credit cards. If you can pay everything with credit cards, if something goes wrong, you can file a complaint with the credit card and get some protection.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't pay anything with a check. You can't pay with a credit card.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you listen to most credit experts, they'll tell you don't even use a debit card, right? Why use your money when you can use somebody else's money and have the full protection?
Just credit card
Yep.
it and pay your bill before the interest hits.
Yep.
Okay? And then if you get behind 1 month and the interest needs to hit, then you're just going to have to pay that. Credit cards give us a lot of protection, and I like that. Expect expect your bank to ask you for more things.
Yeah.
Right? We started out kind of talking about how things get easy and security kind of makes it a pain.
Right.
So I used to be able to do wires right on my computer, right on, I just do it. Now I have to send it, then the bank has to call me, then they have to ask me certain questions, you know. And one of the questions they asked me last week, and I was like, what are you talking about, is can you tell me the date and that you set up your bank account?
Not a chance.
2015.
Yeah.
I have no
Right.
idea, right? I'm like, you
Yeah.
might want to get a little better question for me.
Yeah.
I don't even think I can get onto my account and find that
Right.
anywhere like
Yeah.
that. But anyways, they're getting harder and harder questions because of this whole mess. And who's losing the money? The banks.
the bank, yeah.
The banks are.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
just give you a personal. I mean, in the last 3 months, our credit card, I've gotten phone calls a couple months ago. Did you just make a purchase at like the Home Depot in Peoria, Illinois for $3,000? Never been there. Nope. So new credit cards come out, right? And then about 2 weeks ago, hey, did you just make a $4,000 purchase at Best Buy in Santa Rosa, California? Nope. I'm not bothered by that phone call. I'm appreciative, right? Because
Right.
they're stopping and they're protecting themselves. So you're right, right?
Right.
It's happening more and more and more.
Right. And some of that follows up with some fraudulent stuff coming your way saying,
Yeah.
hey, if this wasn't you, then please log in here
Right. Yeah.
and let us know. Well, when you log in, they're capturing.
Right.
They're
The
capturing.
classic. We don't
y-
have your info. Can
Yeah,
you please
your
provide it?
information.
Yeah.
So you even need to be careful there too. I always check the URLs. Always
Yep.
check the URLs,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So number 5 is be specifically cautious when buying a home or going through a title company. These are transactions where big money are being wired. And certain scam artists have scammed into this process and will then say, okay, we're the title company. We need you to wire money to us. And you think, oh, I'm in the middle of closing a loan, and this is the title company where I'm supposed to, send the
Yeah.
money. And next thing you know, title says, okay, now where are we going to get your money? You're like, I already sent it to you. Kind of like
Yeah.
your FBI story, right?
I had a personal friend lose $300,000 in a wire transfer purchasing a new home last year.
Yeah.
Just into the ether. Someone has it, but not her.
Crazy. And I just tipped off on it, but number 6 is verify all URLs that are coming into your into your emails.
Yeah.
They're getting pretty good nowadays. And even with the ChatGPT, the AI, they're writing these things better.
Mm-hmm.
They're not misspelling, or they're using our culture and our language. And a lot of these emails seem legitimate. And I will tell you, both my father-in-law and my mother, who are in their 70s, they believe everything they read.
Yeah.
And they'll call me, oh, Wells Fargo wants my username and password because I'm like, did you give it to him? Well, yeah, I gave it to him because they were asking.
Yeah.
Look up at the URL, specialist something.com.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
even Wells Fargo, right?
Right.
So I'm like, oh crap! Now we've given our username and password out. We need to get into that Wells Fargo right away. Change
Yeah.
Now we go into crisis mode. So
I love when I get that one from Wells Fargo, and I don't even bank with Wells Fargo, right? And I literally just like an hour ago, I got a text. So now it's coming in text technology as well. So I got a text telling me, oh, we have a package to deliver to your home. Please confirm your address here. I look up at the sender name, and it's some gobbledygook of alphabet soup, right? I'm like, it wasn't a legitimate person. So it's even working its way into our texting.
Right. Well, and I've always said, if you're a bank or you're the delivery company and you don't have my information already, I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah.
Right. I had a lady call me the other day. She's like, sir, I'm so-and-so, and I just need to verify I'm talking to the right person. So there's no fraud here. What is your date of birth? And I'm like, hey, you're calling me.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you anything. Well, sir, this is very important. I don't care how important it is. If it's important, you know my date of birth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so there was this little jockey game being played. Well, I got to make sure I'm talking to the right person. I'm like, I'm not giving you information about myself. And
let me get your social security number, ma'am, and we'll make sure. I'm going to do a quick background on you, make sure I've got the right person. Yeah.
Right. Well, Scott, we can't possibly cover all of the scams and all of the ways that people are trying to defraud. And it's out there. And just know that things are going to get tougher. And things are going to have to be authenticated, and slow down and don't push that button so quickly. Verify everything you're doing on multiple levels. And until next time, continue to rent perfect.